Welcome to the Early Founder podcast. Today's guest is Roy Lee, the 21-year-old founder of Interview Coder, an AI tool that solves LeetCode interview problems in real time. He used it to land offers from Amazon, Meta, TikTok, and Capital One, only to have them rescinded after he revealed the stunt. In response, Columbia suspended him, but Roy had already made his point. Now he's moved to San Francisco to scale Interview Coder full-time, which is growing 50% week over week with $2.2 million ARR. Most recently, he's in stealth dropping Cluely, revolutionizing how humans experience technology. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, what's up, man? I'm Roy. It's good to be here.
So my first question is, where does your startup Interview Coder stand today, and what milestone are you most proud of so far?
Interview Coder is on track right now to, well, actually, like I don't even know where it's on track to, but the product itself is pretty much a suicide product. I mean, at the end state of Interview Coder is a state where LeetCode interviews are dead, and we are in like this new era of tech recruiting, and Interview Coder no longer has a place. Right now, growth is pretty ridiculous, though. Like, we crossed 7 figures ARR in like 36 days. But I think probably the metric that I'm most proud of is the impressions that we got on like socials. I'm pretty sure this has made ripples and like reached almost everybody in the tech space. So I think that's a pretty monumental achievement. But yeah, that's how Interview Coder stands right now. I think by end of year, assuming that companies don't migrate out of virtual LeetCode style interviews, like, it would be unreasonable for us not to be at 10 million ARR. So that's probably what I'm seeing for the future.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I've been seeing your name basically everywhere, from like YouTube, like Fireship, to like news articles, right? So it's really something to be proud of. So my next question is, can you walk me through what like a typical day in the life looks like as the co-founder and CEO?
Yeah, I mean, right now the schedule is sort of weird because we are in the middle of launching like Cluely is like a sort of much more ambitious version of Interview Coder. I guess the thesis here is that Interview Coder's lifetime is limited, so we kind of want to take the learnings and take the hype that we've built up and sort of like launch a much bigger, more stable product that exists 10 years into the future. The end of life, we recently spent a lot of time doing bug fixes. So like Interview Coder sort of launched as just like this side project, kind of hobby project, and we didn't really expect it to blow up. It wasn't really production ready or anything. So we've like, as it was blowing up, we were making it production grade and production ready. That ate up a lot of time. We're spending a lot of time like exploring growth and sort of like idea bashing different ideas to keep Interview Coder alive, even in a world without interviews, without LeetCode style interviews. And finally, we're spending a lot of time like plotting out the launch of Cluely, which is probably most of my day.
Yeah. Can you share some more details about Cluely?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, what Interview Coder does is it's like an application of AI in a world assuming that models are truly multimodal. There's not really many AI applications that have full permission to like see your screen, hear your audio, and give you like a personalized response based on that. And the reason for that is because the models just aren't there yet. Like, they aren't intelligent enough to look at what's on a screen and sort of like give you the answer. They're not intelligent enough to hear audio and sort of like interpret what you're going to want. But Interview Coder sort of builds for that future. And a lot of people haven't realized it. They think it's just like it's a cheating tool, but the way we do it is quite unique. And most particularly, the user experience that we've developed is quite unique as well. Like, there's not really many transparent floating overlays over your desktop, but if you've used Interview Coder once, you kind of realize that, wow, this is a really interesting user experience that's never really been tackled before. So what we're building with Cluely is this screen over screen overlay. Originally, it'll sit on your desktop. It'll hear everything you hear, see everything you see, and it'll give you like really customized, personalized AI help when you need it.
I see. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm excited for the drop. With both of these things going on at the same time, like, how are you balancing your time? How are you able to like maintain traction on Interview Coder and also still work on Cluely?
I guess Interview Coder right now, we have enough web traffic that if we just have a better converting funnel, then we'll be able to hit like as much of the market as is realistically possible for a tool like this. So most of our work goes into sort of keeping up the top of funnel, but top of funnel meaning like the amount of visitors that come on the website. Like right now we're viral, we're famous, and we get enough traffic, but a lot of the work and a lot of the growth will actually come from improving the conversion rate. So right now it's like making tweaks to the website landing page, A/B testing that, making tweaks to actual product, how it works and how it looks, A/B testing that. Like for instance, we just rolled out a free trial and that increased conversions by like a pretty significant factor. But there's not actually like a ridiculous amount of work to do there. I mean, the product works, the marketing is there. We just need to kind of keep things afloat. Most of my time is spent working on Cluely right now, and there's a portion of my time that's spent like right now I'm in the middle of like 10 interview processes for interview coder, like for like much higher up positions. We're gonna start rolling those out like to show like interview coder still works. But again, it just doesn't take up much of my time.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So rewinding a little bit, can you tell me about your first experiences with entrepreneurship?
I've probably been interested in this for as long as I can remember. Like back in middle school, I was like selling Pokémon cards and doing like sneaker. I don't even know if you were alive then, but like sneaker reselling was big back then. Dropshipping was big back then. I was early into those, and in high school, I think my first big venture that took off was like this SAT prep thing that I did. Like I called it like Roy Lee SAT, and I would just like put kids in a class and just teach them how to do SAT. But interview coder was probably my first real foray into selling software. Well, it was the first thing that actually made me any money on the internet from something that I personally coded. I'd always been into entrepreneurship, but I was not really technical enough to build some software that people wanted until very recently.
I see. Can you tell me about Compliance Right? I saw that on your LinkedIn.
Yeah, Compliance Right was, so I did some research at UC Berkeley, and I was working with a professor, and we were doing like psychology research. The problem with psychology is that you want to do research on like human subjects, it takes like a million hours of paperwork, and all the paperwork is being done on this like really shitty software that's run by this company like EIRB. And like it's just such a pain in the ass, and we thought like very simple to build like a better software. We were in talks with a couple of schools. In fact, we were about to sign a contract with George Washington University to like start rolling this out, but it just never got approved, and I ended up transferring to Columbia, and I didn't want to work like across the country with my co-founder, so we just kind of shut the project down. But it's essentially just like a glorified like document managing software. We never actually made any revenue, but I invested quite a bit of time into it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know the IRB process is super like tedious and old and like out-fashioned. Yeah, it's very cool. If you wouldn't mind, like, can you tell me about your experiences applying to college? How you went from Harvard originally, and then to Diablo Valley, and then to Columbia.
Yeah, I mean, senior year of high school, I got into Harvard early. I didn't apply to any other schools, and then I went on this field trip where I snuck out, got caught out past curfew, got a suspension, and that ended up getting rescinded. It was just like a big problem at the time. I mean, we thought we were just gonna keep it silent and apply to a bunch of other schools, and we just go somewhere else the next year. But didn't really work out. I went like 0 for 22 the next the next school cycle. So we just said like, fuck it, let's just go to community college. That's our best option is community college. I didn't want to stay in Georgia because I just like didn't like the idea of just walking around. Hey, aren't you the kid that was supposed to go to Harvard? What are you doing in community college? So we moved to California, or I moved to California, did community college there for a year, and I reapplied again to transfer this time. And this time Columbia took me, so I just made it back to the Ivies and went to Columbia.
Yeah. Do you think that the name serves you much purpose, or at least served you much purpose?
One of my bigger regrets is maybe this isn't so much of a regret, but I ended up spending about 2 years of my life sort of like mindlessly trying to get back into the Ivy League, thinking like this was like the ultimate way that I could show like prove the people at Harvard wrong, prove everybody that all my haters wrong. But I think these 2 years would have been much better spent just sort of like locking in on a company and building a company. I think the second you get the acceptance letter, you've sort of like reaped 99% of the benefit of going to that school, especially when you're in tech. And honestly, I feel like right now it's even more, it's even higher signal to just like fucking drop out of high school or like just start doing your own thing as soon as possible. I really don't think the name means much, but what means much but the name definitely means something. I would just encourage people watching, like, you can get most of the name just from getting accepted. I think you should experience school, but the degree really means not that much at all.
Yeah. I'm asking these questions because of what happened with like Zach, right? Zach Yadagari.
Sure, yeah.
Can you like walk me through your take on that whole situation and like what you think happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like it's so because Zach is arguably like the most famous and successful 18-year-old entrepreneur in tech like in the world. Like he ran up 30 mil ARR in what like 7 months. This is an unheard of revenue timeline even for established companies, and he did it at like 18 years old. This is such a unique extracurricular, and for the schools that claim to be wanting like uh we want to raise like the future leaders of our generation, like for all this talk, like it, you should have just let him in. But the fact that he didn't get into any of them, I think it's not going to harm his future at all. Like the only point, if you really want to do startups and you really want to build a company, the only point of school is to either A, meet a co-founder, which Zach already has, or B, get reputational credibility. But Zach already has that. I mean, there's like really maybe like 5 people in the world who can claim they ran up 30 mil ARR in 7 months. And Zach's already done it. He has the reputation. He doesn't need the school. But I am miffed that the schools that just claim to nurture thought leaders and leaders of the generation just don't accept someone who's obviously going to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand the take. I know there's like a lot of controversy going on about that right now. So
yeah.
Can you tell me about your experiences with ZFellows? I've had a few ZFellows on the pod. I know they've all said it's like a very good experience.
Yeah, ZFellows is super underrated. I think this is it's run by this guy Corey Levy, who just goes around interviewing a bunch of like impressive people, and attending ZFellows is really like only a couple days to a week. You just spend some time surrounded by the people that Corey finds interesting. It's really, really early stage, like much earlier than even YC. Like there's like a third of the batch is literally in fucking high school right now. And most of the people are like, there's not many even like college graduates that do ZFellows just because it's so early. You end up being surrounded by I can pretty confidently say like the most ambitious people of our generation. In fact, every single early stage founder I've met who is truly impressive has either done ZFellows or is like closely affiliated to ZFellows. Yeah, I think it's probably the highest signal program in the world right now.
Gotcha. Like, what were your takeaways from that program? Like,
it's once you, I think Paul Graham talks about this, how ambitious people, when they meet each other, they like really flourish. And this never really rang true to me until I did ZFellows. I mean, no matter what school you go to, like you're going to not really meet many super ambitious people. And if you yourself consider yourself like super ambitious, I feel like you're probably like a pretty ambitious kid. If you consider yourself like among the most ambitious people of your generation and you attend ZFellows, like not only will your ambition 10x, just everything you thought you could achieve, that also is it just exponentiates and it just puts you in a completely different mindset, surrounded by people your age who are doing like things that are extremely just objectively super impressive.
Yeah. On X, I saw you mention your internship with Nucleus Genomics run by like Kian. Can you like walk me through why that was so impactful for you? And
Yeah,
like, yeah.
I think if you're in college or even in high school, like probably the single best thing you can do for your mindset and career is to work at like a really early stage startup. Like, even like the earlier the better. If you can found your own thing, then do that. But Nucleus was, but before I did the summer at Nucleus, I really didn't think that I could do the startup. I mean, like I was coming out of the zero MRR compliance right disaster. I just thought like the software I build is not production ready. It's like I'm just not good enough for it yet. But I did Nucleus Genomics, and like the average age of the company is probably like 23. Like people there are super young, super ambitious, and they're building something that's like definitely generational. And when you're there so early, like as an intern, you contribute meaningfully. And the confidence that you get, the biggest takeaway is confidence. Like I think I became a much better engineer, but much more significantly, my confidence in the ability that I could also do this thing myself, like that skyrocketed. And that's just something that you won't ever get working at a big tech company.
Yeah. I also know your story there is like one of rejection, but you like overcame it. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I mean, I like the internship application, everything was just the CEO posting a tweet saying, "Hey, we're looking for summer interns, DM me." I saw it, and then I've been following Nucleus for a little bit, so I just immediately DM'd him. And then we went through like the interview process, and they rejected me in favor of someone else. But I just kind of I feel like this was the early stage startup that was super interesting. I didn't even believe that they were doing summer internship opportunities, much less like something where like that's like software that I could work in. So I had this feeling like this is just like the best place for me to be that summer. So I just sent him an email. Hopefully this hits the CEO, because I kind of had his like, it was like Keon at my or like whatever. So I kind of figured that it would land in his inbox, and then I just sent him a letter saying, "Hey, I know you rejected me, but I really have a strong feeling that Nucleus is the place for me. I can do whatever it takes. Just let me work for you for free. And he let me in, and he did actually pay me.
That's sick. I know he was also ZFellow, and now there's like talks of him acquiring like 23andMe or something.
Yeah.
I am curious, like, if you believe that leak code interviews are going to be replaced in the future, what are ways that you currently are recruiting, right? And how are and how do you think companies should transition into like a future without leak code?
I think recruiting is really, really different for an early stage startup than it is for like a company that's hiring thousands of engineers like a month. You don't need something that's really scalable when you're recruiting early stage. Right now, every time I need a hire, like I'll reach out to my personal network. I know a bunch of cracked engineers that I would love to work with, and I can just DM them. Like they've already been vetted by like the years of experience that I have with them. So right now, like every single person that's part of the company is just someone that I know personally. But even if we were to hire, I think it's really easy to just conduct interviews and sort of like ask them a couple of technical questions about projects they build, take a gander at their GitHub and sort of like just vibe check whether this person is a competent engineer or not. But it's much harder to do this at scale because like you can't just vibe check yes and sort of like send that to a hiring manager and trust that this person has like actually been vetted. But what I see for the future and what I think is an inevitability is that there will be like an AI native interview process that sort of assumes that candidates get full access to AI. The work will be more representative of what's expected to do on the job, and it'll be like more of a test of how good are you with all the tools at your disposal at the actual job that you want. The actual implementation, I mean, it's up in the air. The money is there for the people that want it, and I think whoever comes out first with this AI native solution that's more representative of the work, like they're just gonna like it's hundreds of millions of dollars waiting on the table.
Yeah, I see. Now, moving a bit into like building the venture itself, like building Interview Coder, can you tell me about how you met your co-founder and how you decided like you could trust him, you could work with him?
Yeah, when I first came to Colombia, I knew that I wanted to start a company. So pretty much the first thing I did and the only thing that I did for like the first month was just go around asking people, hey, do you want to build a company with me? Do you want to build a company with me? And Neil was like the first guy that said yes, like the only guy that said yes. So initially, we just hacked on a bunch of side projects. We built like this AI note taker. We built this like sales SaaS, AI SaaS for liquor distributors. We just hacked on a lot of shit that wasn't working. But Interview Coder was just another one of our side projects that just happened to take off much more than the rest.
Yeah, I've been seeing his reels a lot actually. They've been getting
really?
recommended to me. It's kind of cool.
Crazy.
So once you had, I guess like, how did you first find the idea for Interview Coder? Like when did you decide like this is something I want to do? And once you did that, like how long did it take to hack together the MVP and get traction?
Yeah, I mean, I think I probably have like the best founder market fit in the world for a tool like Interview Coder, just because like I went through the recruiting grind cycle. I did like 600 code problems, and like I knew it intimately, and I knew like if you are anal about this space and if you were like actively recruiting and sweating this stuff, you just knew that cheating tools like this out there existed. It's just nobody like really cracked distribution for it. This is just like you would see these cheating tools float around on different subreddits, and like you just kind of if you were in the space and you would know that something like this exists. The tools just aren't developed and fleshed out fully, and they're not marketed well. So it was sort of like a no-brainer that the product existed, would go viral, and could go viral if someone just had the guts to like market it properly. So all it took was like that one deciding moment of, okay, I'm down to like throw away my career education and just like try to market this. And as I was building with Neil, after a certain point, I gained some confidence. Like, okay, you know what? Like, you were the ideal co-founder fit. I'm comfortable spending the next few years building a company with you. I'm down to like take this gigantic risk and just like burn my career in education just to try and see if this would go viral. And yeah, I mean it worked out much better than I expected. As far as MVP development, like this really is not it's not like rocket science here. Like you're building a React app in Electron where it's like a one API call, and the API call will solve the question you see in the picture. It's not like we were building anything crazy. It took about 4 days to build like a working version of the product that ran locally. But with all the bells and whistles we added and like billing and authentication and all that, it probably took about a month to build out the entire product.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned, that's the most important thing is guts, right? Like as you said, it's not too hard to make it, but it's about like who had the balls to like go out and actually do this. So
Yeah,
I guess my follow up is like, how did you get the balls to do it? Like, what were you thinking at the time? Like, what made you be able to do all this?
Yeah, I think most advice on risk taking right now is like just wrong. It really is not something that's built in. It's something that like a tolerance for risk is something that grows. Right now, I think I'm probably 100 times more risk tolerant than I was over the summer. I mean, I was literally like the guy sweating out leak code questions, thinking that I was gonna work like at like fucking Change or like Amazon or Meta. I was the sweatiest CS major who did not think that there was any other path for me besides graduating college and like working a big tech job. So I was extremely risk averse. And as soon as you start thinking that maybe like building a company would be really interesting, that's how it started. It's like I thought like the most thing for my life is building a company. I should try to work on that. And then I have done a bunch of side projects, but I never had the expectation that one of these was going to blow up and I was going to leave college or anything. But then the side projects gain traction. As they gain traction, like the idea, like, hey, I could probably leave college for this. Like it starts as a seed and it just grows bigger and bigger until it's inevitable. Until one day you're like literally on Twitter rage baiting, hoping to get expelled from college. I really think like risk starts as a seed and just grows. And you should just, if you want to be more risk tolerant, then just try taking a small risk and seeing how it pays off.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great advice. So once you put together this MVP, you have like a relatively finished product, what were the next steps that you took to start like marketing?
We had the content for the Amazon video beforehand. We posted on YouTube, and for a while we thought like we tried a bunch of different socials. Like we did a few demos on LinkedIn. Those went kind of viral, but then LinkedIn took down my account. Like they didn't really want to see it, and like LinkedIn, we couldn't ride the growth curve, but we saw the viral potential. Then for a while, we thought it was going to be like Instagram and TikTok. Those are going to be our main channels. So we like hired some interns. We started spamming our Instagrams and TikToks, but those weren't really going viral either. Like we tried Reddit, but we kept on getting banned off the subreddits for like advertising our tool, and it wasn't sticking there. So we ended up on Twitter, and Twitter is where like thing is the stunt I pulled off was inherently viral. I mean, I really don't think there's probably not a single person in my year in any college in the US who tried something like this. Like we just needed the platform that would let us keep posting and the audience that would be interested in something like this. It was obvious with LinkedIn that this was going to go viral. We just needed like the correct platform. And then once we hit Twitter, like it just took off on Twitter, and Twitter doesn't ban anyone for anything. So we were able to just ride the growth curve there.
Yeah. I think it's kind of ridiculous that you got banned on LinkedIn. Or like,
yeah, I mean, they came up with some bullshit reason saying like, oh, you can't verify your work experience because you don't have any work emails. But like it was just like, it was so obviously bullshit.
Oh, for like the internships and stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. I see. Okay. Well, I think something that you've done so well, right? It's just your social media marketing, or like your ability to build in public and build virality, right? So like, if you were to do this all again, like what's your strategy for going viral? Let's say your product isn't inherently like viral.
If your product is, this is a hard question. It's hard for me to give advice because I really don't know that much about how to make things go viral that aren't inherently viral. I think if your product isn't a viral product, then your marketing has to be viral. I mean, if you're under like 25 and you spend a couple hours every day scrolling, like you have viral sense. You probably have the best viral sense in the world. Like you know what young people find funny, and you know what will go viral. If you build a product that's not going to go viral, then I think you need to force a situation or like force some advertising that will make it go viral. For example, like very specifically, like get yourself kicked out of school for building the product. Like that is a viral moment regardless of what the product is. Yeah, that's what I'd say. Just force stuff. Yeah, as a young person, you know what goes viral. If it's not your product, then make it the marketing.
Yeah. Well, if it's would you recommend building like trying to build a product that has a lot of viral potential from the get-go?
Yeah, I think that's like almost necessary if you want the virality and reach that I got. If you're building something in consumer and there's no viral loop that you can rely on, then your product isn't going to take off. Like there's probably like 100,000 people right now that are just pushing out AI consumer slop. Like you have too much competition to not have a product that is inherently viral.
Yeah. So once you had this big spike, right? news articles started taking you on. You got like put on like a lot. I've seen so many of these like copy and pasted AI, like meet the kid who like blah blah blah. Yeah. But once you got all of this, how have you been growing the product recently? Like how did you grow it to 2.2 million ARR? Like what are the steps right after that?
Generally, with sort of like any sort of consumer product, there's only two factors, and it's top of funnel and conversion. So top of funnel is just how many eyes you get on the product. And the world of tech recruiting and the world of tech, like people who want big tech, is small enough that I'm pretty sure I can pretty confidently say that about 80% of people who are wanting a big tech internship have probably heard about Interview Coder. Meaning that our top of funnel is enough. Like we've already pretty much saturated the market as far as top of funnel. The only other thing that needs to happen is you need a highly converting page, or you need a highly converting product. And that's like the only thing that matters right now for growth is a conversion rate. If we can build a product that we can be sure if a user goes to interviewcoder.com and has an upcoming interview and has the willingness and desire to like cheat on the interview, then we want to get as close to 100% as possible that they will actually bite the bullet on the product. This is like a bunch of different things. This is like price A/B testing. This is experimenting with user onboarding, and this is like experimenting with different landing page designs. And that's like all stuff that we're doing for growth. But at this point, we don't really care that much about more top of funnel. Anybody who wants the internship has heard about Interview Coder. So we've like saturated the top of funnel here.
I see. Yeah. So you've already kind of reached the cap for the like the carrying capacity. The next section is like challenges and breakthroughs. So can you tell me what your biggest challenges and your biggest roadblocks have been so far along your journey?
I think there was like a time after I launched for about 4 weeks. I posted the video of me using Interview Coder on Amazon. Amazon reached out to Columbia, and Columbia was getting on my ass, and just like everybody was upset. And every single person I talked to in my life was just telling me, you probably shouldn't keep going with this. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You should just quit. And like that was like mentally challenging. I think like my case study is probably one in shock marketing more than it is in like organic virality. I mean, just even if I don't think the marketing here was great. I think the situation I forced to happen was just so unique that it was bound to go viral. And it wasn't a result of like my intelligent marketing. It was just a result of how shocking the situation was. But the big problem with doing shock marketing is that you have to do something that is shocking, and it is mentally taxing to be in a shocking situation.
Yeah.
Just like by definition. So like, yeah, that period of 4 weeks before we went viral, after I sort of blew up everything, that was definitely the most difficult time.
I see. Yeah, I followed your LinkedIn account before it got banned, and I remember I was like I couldn't access it anymore, and then I saw like your Korean name, being the new account.
Yeah.
All right. My next question is, how have you dealt with haters on your product? Because there are like quite a few, and like I remember reading about like a hacker who got like an expired authentication key or something like that. So like, how have you been dealing with that?
I mean, it's just like I feel like I have a much higher tolerance for hate than most other people. I really don't think it's been mentally taxing at all. Like it's just like faces, but it's just like pixels on a screen, and it doesn't really bother me as much as it bothers other people. I think, I mean, I've largely been disaffected, and maybe this is just like a unique mentality of mine, but I just like, it's interesting that they're haters. In reality, no college student in like the history of the world is ever gonna like go out to me and be like, oh my God, I can't believe you built this cheating tool. Like every college student is out there like cheating on their homework, like cheating on their assignments. Like everybody knows someone cheating, and nobody really gives a fuck. I know that in the real world, this is just like not a product or just not something that people care that much about. It's just people hating behind the screen.
Yeah. Now that you're getting ready to work on Cluely, can you tell me what that fundraising process was like?
I mean, it was really easy because we had all the hype of Interview Coder, and by the time I was fundraising, I was like the biggest face in tech. I was doing like millions in ARR, and I was probably like, I don't know, like maybe like one of the highest signal people to be to be like fundraising at the time. It was really easy. I mean, we closed around in less than 24 hours, and we did like way more than I expected to. So I feel like I couldn't even give you like good advice on fundraising just because our pitch in the middle of the fundraise changed like 3 times. We didn't really know what we were doing. We just had like these bullshit conversations, but it was just, I was viral at the time, so it was just very easy.
Yeah, and people like to invest in founders, right? And I think you've you had enough credibility as it is. Do you think you've ever faced like age discrimination, or have you felt undermined because you're like relatively young in the space?
I think tech, especially tech now, like honestly, I feel old in the space. There's like 17-year-old, 19-year-old founders who are doing like bigger, better. Like Zach Yadagari is doing fucking 30 million ARR and he's 18. Like I really think 21 in tech right now, in this specific moment in history, is really not that young. VCs are putting more money into younger founders who have less. So it's I don't think I've felt any age discrimination. If I've ever felt age discrimination, it would be because I'm old and there's like young friends of mine who call me Unc.
Yeah, that's really funny. So wait, looking ahead, what do you like? What's your vision for like the next few years? What do you think you're going to be up to?
As far as revenue goes, I mean, I think just Interview Coder itself, like even if the delay in big tech companies will be long enough that Interview Coder can probably see 10 mil ARR in the next few years, if not the next year alone. But I have a much grander vision for what I think the future looks like. I really think nobody is building for a world where AI models go truly fully multimodal. Once they can process like call it a year of video data. Like at that point, you're not going to be using chatbots anymore, and the user experience is going to be fundamentally different. And I don't think anybody is truly building for that future, uh, except me. So that's what I'm excited for. If this goes well, then in the next few years, I hope to be a billionaire. If that's that's the answer.
That's insane. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Do you have any personal goals for yourself, like health wise or like mental health wise, beyond the business?
I think my mental health is pretty good. I don't actually really believe in like mental illness or anything like that, or at the very least, like I don't believe that it'll ever affect me. I think like I've experienced a bunch of hate and I didn't really feel anything, so I really don't care about the hate that much. And I think my mental health is just like pretty constant. I have a good group of friends around me. I'm like building the company with my best friends, so I'm like I would like to be more jacked. That's my only
Valid.
other goal.
Very valid. Yeah. So moving into the final section now, which is advice in closing. So what's one piece of advice you'd give to like a teenager, so like a 12, 13-year-old who wants to make a startup tomorrow?
Yeah, my pretty much my only piece of advice is try to take the biggest risk you can possibly take right now. And if you think that risk is like, I don't know, taking a semester off school, then like take the risk. If you think the risk is like, I don't know, waking up an hour later, like take the risk. Like I feel like the world right now belongs to risk takers. Um, Everything as you know it, like the entire social order as you understand it, is flipping upside its head. It's like a time of like pure chaos. It's easier than ever to build a company, build a software startup. Like there's literally 13-year-olds shipping out fully functioning deployable React apps. It's so easy to build, and in this world, the only winners will be the people who take big risks. And you learn how to swing big by swinging small. So I would just recommend people to take as many risks as possible.
Yeah. Are there any resources you would recommend for aspiring young founders?
I think building is probably the only way to learn how to build better. So I would say hop on Cursor and just keep prompting until you have a good app and then build better apps.
Yeah. So just, yeah, use AI well, that
Yeah.
type of thing. Are there any specific skills or experiences that have made a difference for you?
Probably getting rescinded from Harvard. That was probably the most eye-opening experience in my life. Um, it really made me like being stuck in a year alone really made me question pretty much everything I believed about the world. Uh, Gave me a giant chip on my shoulder and like a very strong desire to prove my haters wrong. And it taught me how to, and I taught myself how to program during the year, which was really helpful. Yeah, I mean that's probably like the single experience. Outside of that experience, probably the interview coder taking off was like these past 2 3 months have been like the craziest of my life, and I feel like I've learned a lot about myself and how fun it can be to live a purposeful life.
Yeah. To what extent do you think someone has to be technical now?
I think it probably goes down and is going down like with every model release. There's very few companies out right now, especially consumer companies, that you couldn't recreate with, or you couldn't create an MVP of that with like without knowing how to code at all. I would recommend that people try to be technical, but I also think that the path to becoming technical is very different now. If you just sit on Cursor and you just force prompt until it works and you just sort of like read the responses, like that's probably the fastest way to actually become technical. Eventually you will understand what's going on, you'll understand the errors that Cursor makes, and like that'll just be more helpful and easier to learn than and quicker to learn than any sort of tutorial or anything. I think you should focus less on being technical, because if you keep on trying to build things, then you will become technical.
Yeah. Okay. My next question is, if you could go back in time, like what are things that you know now that you wish you that you wished you knew a few years ago and could have made a difference?
I think this one idea is just not stated enough by anybody, but nobody is born insanely risk tolerant. No baby is born like ready to like risk their lives for something. It's just something that you need to grow. Like I feel like the piece of advice that I wish I had is take the biggest risk you are capable of taking right now. I think you end up getting locked into this notion like, oh, I'm just not a risk taker. Like I can never burn my career education. Like I'm just not built like that. But I wasn't built like that either. It's something that develops risk tolerance.
Do you have any final thoughts or words of encouragement for young founders?
I've never taken a risk in my life that has not paid off.
Hmm.
That'd probably be it.